Van life. Biggest question I get asked since having a van and travelling is, how do you know where your parking is safe? How do you know you're going to be okay? And secondly, where do you find your park ups? How do you know you can park there? Okay, so the first one is really simple. I don't know. There's a risk in anything you do, but you'd never leave your house, and even that's not safe, if you didn't do things. You know, if you worried about it constantly, you'd never go anywhere. So I have a few set rules. One, I always tell somebody, or at least one person in my family, where I'm going to be staying. I always make sure that location has Wi-Fi signal or a phone signal, preferably both. I always lock my door in my van when I'm done. I never have awnings up or anything like that. I'm quite stealthy. I do not answer the door. Not that it's happened to me, but I wouldn't answer the door if somebody knocked on it. I wouldn't do that. And I have constant access to the front of my vehicle. So Spog, the way Spog is set up, I could just climb over here, get into the front seat. My keys are always hanging up on my hook, and I could be gone. So if I'm getting any trouble, I've got the phone and I can just leave. So that's my safety issues covered. As for how to park up, I'm going to show you my preferred go-to method. I use this for my main park up ideas and also backups. I always like to have a backup. People use apps, people use YouTube, and I've used all of these methods. And in fact, my go-to method, I often use an app and this other form of finding a location, kind of in conjunction with each other, and it works quite well. But I'm going to show you how to use my method with an app and without the app. So I'm sure this is not groundbreaking science. I'm sure this is stuff that other van dwellers and campervan people use. It's just something that I do and I find it easy, and it's been the most successful way so far of finding park ups. So I'll explain it to you now. So my preferred app is Park for a Night. And I think this cost me about £5 for the year, I think. Now, if we look here, the last place that I looked and stayed was Lechlade. No, that's not the last place. The last place I stayed was the Peak District. Time before that, when I was doing the Cotswolds, was Lechlade. And this app shows you various things. It has a key for different bits. So I believe these are campsites. Yep, so that's caravan and motorhome park ups. What's the P with a... Okay, that's a large car park. Some areas have got far more than other areas. So these are just parking spots. So these are like lay-bys and what have you. And if you click on the lay-by, it'll give you some information, gives you the coordinates, gives you the postcode. People can leave comments. You know, they'll say, if several people have parked there, they will tell you whether it was a good experience or not, whether you're going to get boy racers, you know, that kind of stuff. And sometimes you get some photos of the area. So I decided I like the ones that have trees, because the tree ones tend to be, what are they called? Like scenic spots, you know, pretty spots. So click on that one. And this one is surrounded by nature, and it's got quite a few pictures. You can see there's vans parked up there. You can see there's quite a few vans parked up in there. So this place is called Cheese Wharf. I don't think it actually says it on here, but it is called Cheese Wharf. It's got the coordinates, it's got the number of spaces, it's got how long it's open for, how much it costs. And then it's got some reviews. You can see this top review didn't give it a very good review because they've tried it 3 or 4 times. It says each time they were woken in the early hours by local lads in cars, loud music, gas cartridges around in the morning. So, you know, people have obviously been getting high and all the rest of it. Even felt that people were tampering with the van. Okay, so that was this year, and it wasn't that long ago. So here, yeah, you know, this person has had a different experience, peaceful and quiet, not many walking paths. Well, it's not. You're literally by the river. Other places have said that it gets quite busy with paddle boarding. That's what I found. But as soon as they've gone, there's spaces for campers. So yeah, you get some reviews written by people. And then quite often I'll use this app and then I will go and do the next stage, which I will show you now, and that is using Google Maps. So normally I would be doing this on my phone, but for the ease of filming, I'm going to show you on my laptop. So on that app that I've just shown you, and you can use a variety of different apps, there are so many out there, but on that particular app you'll see it gave me the name of this place, Cheese Wharf, in the Cotswolds. So click on there, and there's usually some reviews about you know, the area, if it's a specific thing. Obviously that wouldn't happen if it was just a lay-by. You sometimes get little pictures that have been put up, and you get the directions come up, so you can click on that. You can also save it and pin it and what have you. So anyway, let's get rid of that. I put this on the satellite mode because you get a much clearer view of what's going on. It's an actual real view. And then I can zoom in. Now I can see this is quite close to a town centre. There's Lechlade up there. I can tell it's an A road, so potentially it could be quite busy. You can get much closer. Right, there we go. So I can see it's right by the river. Not great spot probably if you've got a lot of heavy rain forecast, or you've got flooding currently happening in your area or in that area. So it gives you an idea of things to think about. Then down here, on your mobile phone, where you have the option for doing satellite and other app little options, I believe it's a 3-line dash up in the top corner somewhere. There's also the little Street View person, and it creates this blue line on any of the roads. Now what you can do is, on my phone I just click like that, there we go. So this now shows you the road, and it also gives you a view of Cheese Wharf, so you can have a little look around. Now sometimes if the filming is good enough, you can see the signposts. Now that one says no fishing, but on there is nothing about no overnight parking. You can see it's a National Trust place, which means there's likely to be some sort of warden or volunteer or somebody popping up early in the morning. And in this case, they did actually do that when I went and stayed there. But there was no issues with me parking there. They were just clearing up any litter and just checking everything was okay. You can roughly see how big it is. You can see how far from the road it is. So this one has about 5 parking spaces. It is relatively close to the road, but as it turns out, this road's not that busy. You can see it's not a very big road, so even though it's an A road, sort of by the evening, there's not an awful lot of traffic on it. So it gives you an idea of the area that you can park up in. And it's the same for things like laybys. So another thing I do is I just don't worry about the app whatsoever. Let's go out of there. Let's say I wanted to find somewhere to park around here. So let's decide we were wanting to go somewhere near Cheltenham. It's another thing that I did. Let's go, right, well, what would I like to see? Where would I like to park? So let's say I wanted to visit Sudley Castle. It's going to take me a while to get there. Don't necessarily want to come rushing home. So I Google the area. I sort of satellite map it. Now, here we are. This here is a little spot that I have marked off. Somewhere I visited. So I actually went to visit this place over here. It's Long Barrow. And so I parked along here. Now, this actually is a really quiet road, and actually is a really good place to probably spend the night. The road is wide enough, even though it's not very used, it's wide enough that you can pull off to the side. And you could probably easily stay there all night, and it's a very pretty area. So let's put Street View on again. Click on there, and there's the lay-by. So you can see it's just a country lane. It's wide enough that you can pass. So this is not a passing spot. This is a car park spot. And again, there's no signs anywhere to say no parking or parking restrictions. You've got a lovely view of the hillside. So you could easily pull in to that lay-by and stay there, and I don't think you'd get much bother. So that's how I use Google Maps. I just find the rough area and I look from above, from a satellite position, to see what would make a good parking spot. Sometimes, I mean, obviously I was going there and I noticed that place, but sometimes you can just zoom in and look closely, and sometimes you even see caravans and things parked up in spots, and you can get an idea and go, oh well, okay, well that looks like that's probably a good spot to park. So if you look around here, this again in the Cheltenham area, what have we got? Okay, Cleve Hill. So there's a car park here. This is obviously the golf club car park, so it's unlikely that you would be able to park there. So let's have a look on another side of Cleve Hill for some other ideas for parking. So you just move around the area you want to visit. And, oh, they are, it's Cleve Hill Common Car Park. So again, you can zoom in. Now you can see there's parking all along here. There's laybys along this road. Again, and you can see that there are cars parked in some of them. So let's just street view that one. Click on there. Now you can come all the way up and check out signposts, and you can get an idea as to whether or not, so this doesn't seem to have any parking bays, parking meters. There's no parking signs. There's no do not park overnight signs. They're usually quite obvious if they don't want you to park overnight. There's plenty of spaces. So, you know, you might see, what's this? Okay, let's have a look at that. No, that's just a sign on that building. So that's all good. There would be signs on here somewhere saying no overnight parking if it was an issue. And again, there's plenty of space for you to be able to pull over and spend the night. And that's how I do it. I have a good look on Google Maps for laybys or pull-ins or dirt tracks, and then I just come onto Street View and make sure there's no signs that say it's private property or anything like that. I'll give you an example of one where I've thought, yeah, that looks really good, and then actually when you get into Street View you notice it's not so good. Okay, so here's a good example, and it's typical of being down south actually. I'm finding this a lot in pretty much any area near the sea, any road near the sea on the south coast. At the moment, it seems to be getting worse. You just can't find a park up. So, say I wanted to be right close to the beach. Now, it's unlikely that this car park here, this National Trust car park, is going to be free at Studland Bay, at Studland Beach. It says it's National Trust car park, which means you probably have to pay. It probably also means that you're going to have to be turfed out. A lot of them do say no overnight parking. But then you look here and you go, oh, right, hold on, what's this? Is this a lay-by here with cars pulling over into it? It's a bit hard to tell. But it might look like a parking area outside of the main parking. So you've put your Street View on, you click down, and here you go. Look, no, you can see car park, 8 PM or dusk if earlier. It's going to be locked, so you know you can't park in there. The cars were just going around a barrier and a little pay hut, so that wasn't a lay-by. That was cars obviously using the pay booth there. So that's not going to be suitable. What I often do is try and find a road along. So here, look, I go, right, okay, let's find a road. Let's come out of Street View again. Let's find a road here. So this looks like a pretty safe road. What do these signs say? No parking between 10 AM and 7 PM. 15th of March to 30th September. Okay, so as long as you're out of that time, you might be all right. What have we got here? Have a good look. do we think? Is it this way? Right, this looks like a car park. And the other thing you can do, if you can position it just right, is get a look at the signposts and zoom in. Doesn't always go close enough. Pay and display, overnight parking not permitted. Okay, so this tends to be the case all the way down the south coast, but you can sometimes find this information out just by looking on Street View and looking at the parking signs. So yeah, no parking there. You can also see if they've got height barriers, because that's the other way I get caught out, is the height barriers. Yeah, so that gives you an idea anyway. I think you get the idea. That's just my main preferred way of finding a park up in the UK for a van overnight. A wild park up. I don't know why the UK makes it so bad. Let's be honest, tourism is being hit, and we are going to have to survive in the UK and all over the world, let's be fair, on local tourism as opposed to people coming in from different countries, because the whole COVID situation. So we need to start thinking about how to actually improve the situation for people who are now spending more time doing things like hiring a camper van, or people who are living in their vans because they now can't afford their homes. I appreciate why some of these places are not doing the car parks and have put height barriers in. I get it, because there is a different form of traveller who has notoriously over decades and decades taken advantage of any space, have been very disrespectful, have a tendency to leave a lot of litter and feces. I have experienced it myself in the village. You know, rock up in car parks, 3, 4, 5 sets of motorhomes, caravans, and stay put for weeks on end, causing chaos. And I get that's what they're trying to prevent by putting in height barriers and putting in no overnight parking spots. I get that, especially down at the coast. I get that. But we are going to be bringing money to the coast. Those of us, which is probably the majority of people, are not like that. All the van life people I know tend to clear up and leave the spaces tidier and cleaner than they were when they arrived. I have always left my spaces as they were, or cleaner, because I've picked up litter behind myself or behind other people. So I think councils are going to have to start getting a little bit more camper van friendly, because we come and we buy your fish and chips, and we use your shops to stock up our food supplies, and we use your coffee shops a lot to come and drink your coffee and your tea and eat your cakes. So we are contributing. We may not be hiring a house. We may not be, I don't know, using one of your campsites. But we are contributing to the economy in your area. So just something to think about, people. Just something to think about. Make things a bit more van friendly. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.